Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to another episode, or should I say, the very first episode of Talking Without Permission, formerly known as The Renee Spencer Show. You guys, I'm so excited for this name change. I know I haven't been able to talk about it much, and I just did it on like the biggest whim, but I feel like this name is meant for my podcast. And a little backstory, if you did not hear the post I posted on Instagram, is when I was in school, I went to a very small private school, and they gave out demerits, and 3 demerits equaled detention. Well, my number one demerit was always talking without permission. Me couldn't be. So anyways, I told this funny story. I made a video for Instagram and I was like, haha, sucks to be them. Like, look at me. I'm still talking without permission. I've now created my own podcast and I have a platform. And after I'd made that video and I got done editing it, I was like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful name for my podcast to be changed from The Renee Spencer Show to Talking Without Permission. I just knew in that exact moment that it was right. So there's a little bit of a backstory of where the name came from. And I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for that name. Welcome back to another episode, you guys. I am currently outside. I don't know if you can hear the birds chirping around me, but it's beautiful. I'm in Reno visiting some family. And here's what made me want to do this episode is I was listening to Charlie Kirk last night. He said that podcasts are actually the number one platform where people can trust. And you know, unlike news channels or even social media, they can shut off the truth. And a lot of truth tellers are gravitating towards podcasting because it's an unfiltered place for truth. And I love that. And that's exactly why I started my podcast, right? To be rooted in truth, authenticity, growth, mindset, to show up and talk about the struggles. And so that's what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about my struggles, because whenever I come here, I usually struggle. I'm not struggling now, but when I come here, I'm usually struggling. And it honestly would take me 3 or 4 weeks to even remotely feel okay again after leaving Reno. So this week I thought, what an amazing time to talk about how I used to feel when I would come back to Reno versus how I'm handling it differently this time, which is honestly the very first time that I'm choosing to show up and change my mindset and not leave completely drained. Doing this podcast, you guys, like I said, we're growing and we're learning together, has truly taught me how much I actually needed to change and show up differently with my own mindset when I do, especially come back and visit Reno. So starting this podcast has been such not only a blessing to so many people, but also to myself, because I have really had to level up. Like, I can't talk about these things without actually acting on these things. And so here's how my trips to Reno used to look. I would come to Reno and I would be super excited to see everybody. I would overextend myself in every way. I would literally fill up from the morning to the evening with every ounce of plans that I could make all of the events that everybody was having, or the school activities that all the nieces and nephews were having. I would literally just be exhausted with like, okay, if I don't go to this person's going to be offended. If I don't do this person's going to be offended. If I don't show up here, this person's going to be offended. So I would try to do it all, right? I would try to do everything. And on the flip side of the unhealthy truth of this is I would be so hurt because these same people, they wouldn't do any of those things for me. And my mindset was just, I come here, and you guys, this is going to be blatantly honest, okay? So it might hurt some people's feelings, and it's not a good mindset to have, but I'm going to be truthful, because I know if I've had these thoughts, you've probably had these thoughts. But I would come here and I would watch everybody's children, and I love my nieces and nephews, right? I love them. I love my friends' children, but I would be exhausted, and I would be like, man, if I ask somebody else to watch my kids while we're here so I can have a date night or I can go do something that I want to do, nobody makes themselves available. Everybody's still living their life. Everybody has busy schedules. And so I come here and I end up playing babysitter to nieces and nephews that I love, that I want to spend time with. But when you're rooted in nobody does this for me, you end up becoming resentful, right? And aside from that is I have a lot of hurt feelings here. There's a lot of unresolved issues and unresolved pain. There's a lot of betrayal. There's a lot of family fights and mean things that were said that were never mended. And there's a lot of just bitterness and anger. And when you're around that, and when you come back to that, because I was included in that as well, like I'm sure there's stories everybody can say that include me in that, it's hard not to feel that elephant in the room, right? Because we all won't talk about it, but we all know it's there. And so I would leave just feeling completely drained, emotionally exhausted. I'd feel left out and lonely. And honestly, I didn't feel important. And to some degree, I could say that I probably still feel a lot of those things. But here's how my mindset has changed. And this is the first trip that I have taken where I've really actively had to work on these things. And so what I've learned is I can't have expectations of people, right? A lot of the things of expecting people to watch my kids because I watch their kids. Big mistake, right? I just set myself up for failure. Expecting people to come visit me because I'm here and I'm only here twice a year, and yet nobody's made time for me, so now my feelings are hurt. Expectations of resolving conflict where my feelings were hurt. Like, can't we all have a conversation? Like I'm not the person to hide away from these hard conversations. I thrive off of resolving the conflict and coming together and creating a peaceful environment. And not everybody is built or wired that way. So my own expectations of, okay, well, the last time I came, XYZ was said, and we're just going to pretend like it wasn't said. We're just going to pretend like nothing happened and we're all happy. And so then I would become even more resentful that you want to smile and hug me and enjoy this amazing time together, but yet there's pain here that you're just ignoring. And so at the end of the day, you have to come up with two different choices, right? You have to say, okay, am I either going to distance myself because this isn't the environment that is serving me anymore? Or can I show up differently, still have a good time, not have any expectations, create healthy boundaries that are for myself? And most of them here, you guys, have been unspoken boundaries. Like every boundary you have doesn't have to be told. I don't have to be like, I'm not watching your kids this time the whole time because this is my boundary and I exhaust myself. No, like I can create healthy boundaries without talking about it. And so what I did this time is these three things, okay? Every time I caught myself having an expectation, I would literally capture that thought. And I'm like, this is me having an expectation. And does it sting that these expectations aren't being met and that I don't feel important? Yes, it does. Okay, so I'm going to let myself feel that sting. My feelings are a little bit hurt that I don't feel important, right? But that doesn't mean that my expectations are okay. So I'm going to remove that expectation. And instead, I'm going to ask the people who I want to volunteer their time with me to spend time with me. And I haven't been told no one time. And so on one side, I feel like it's painful to have to ask people that you don't see but twice a year to spend time with you. But on the same time, I expressed my needs and my desires, and now they're being met. And so sometimes our unmet expectations, we totally transitioned into something beautiful by just expressing our needs, but we have to be able to recognize what our needs are. And for me, my love language is quality time, okay? That is my number one love language. So when I come here and nobody makes time for me, I feel so unloved. So instead of coming here and feeling that way, I decided I'm going to come here and ask for people to spend time with me because that's what I want, right? That's my end goal. That's why I have these expectations, is because I want to spend time with my family and with my friends. So that's what I did. So that's the first thing I did. I changed my expectation into expressing my needs. The second thing I've been doing is I have been setting healthy boundaries, but not with anybody else, with myself. I have been not overextending myself when I can't do it. And sure, may that kind of upset some people? You know what? Probably not. Nobody's probably upset about it. But in my head, I feel like these people are likely upset about it. But you know what? I feel rested. I don't feel overwhelmed. My schedule's not overly full. I'm actually prioritizing my children's nap times, our family quality time, our rest period of when we just want to like hang out at the pool and not do anything else and not overextend ourselves. And it's nobody else's fault that I was doing that. I was offering. So I've had boundaries with myself. And you know what this does? It allows for me to help with a serving heart instead of a bitter heart. So instead of like overextending myself and grumbling about it, now when I am able to help or when I am able to show up, I'm so excited to be there. I'm like, yes, I'll watch all the babies. I love this. These are my nieces and nephews and my friends' kids. And I'm so excited to be able to watch them all and to be able to show up and honestly do it with a giving, loving heart. But I couldn't do that before. And they may not have known that I was like building bitterness in my soul, but I knew it because I felt it when I left. And my family felt it, like my personal family. I could put on a smile around everybody else and be like, oh, sure, I'll do everything for you guys. And then I come home and I'm like this bitter, angry person to my kids. Setting boundaries with myself has been a huge, huge change in my experience coming to Reno this time. Like, who knew it wasn't everybody else's fault that I was bitter, right? And the third thing that I have been really trying to do is letting people be who they're going to be. Ooh, that is so hard for me to do, you guys. I just want everybody to grow in the way that I feel everybody should grow. You get on this healing journey and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I see the pain of it and I see the struggles of it. But more than anything, I see the beauty and accountability in growing. I end up wanting that same feeling that I feel. I want everybody else to feel it too. It's just like, don't you guys want to heal? Doesn't everybody want to live life without bitterness and anger and resentment and unmet expectations? And don't you want to have boundaries with yourself? And don't you want to be accountable for like your behavior? Because accountability is the true ticket to a longer, healthier, peaceful life. And not everybody does. And that's really painful when you see people around you living parts of their life in pain and you just want to help them escape that pain. But you can't get anybody to walk a path that you want them to walk. Everybody is on their own healing journey, and everybody has access to the internet, to therapy, to the thousands of TikToks that I watch about anything that I'm trying to learn and grow and heal about. And no matter what I say or do or how much I push, nothing is going to make anybody want to show up for themselves better than them choosing to do that on their own. And that's been really hard for me. And I end up in like fights about it. Like I'm sitting here trying to get you to understand how healthy healing is. And then you and I end up in a fight about it. And like, what part of that is healthy? None of it. And so when I hear people say things, or I hear like snide comments, or, things that I'm like, oh, I have like something I could really say about that. I can either choose to cut some people off, or I can love them for where they're at, because where they're at isn't really harming me. The biggest reason why I want them to change is because I see it harming themselves. And no amount of me telling them that will ever get them to see it. So the only thing I could do is choose to show up and love people for who they are and where they are right now. So with these three things, you guys, I have completely changed how I feel and how I show up when I come to a place that used to cause me so much pain. And the place that used to cause me so much pain, and people may not show up the way I want them to, and they might not be the first to volunteer their time. And that hurts, and it's okay for that to hurt. But all of this to say is, one shift in mindset in 3 areas. I'm leaving sad that I have to leave. And not just anxiously trying to crawl my way out of Reno, which is how I usually am. So I want you guys to take these 3 things that have really helped me literally in the past 2 weeks of me being here. And I want you to look at the areas in your life and ask yourself, where can I apply these 3 things? And where am I showing up and being my own biggest pain? And then I want you to apply. Am I having unhealthy expectations? And can I change those expectations into expressing my needs? Am I having boundaries with myself? Screw other people. Right now we're focusing on us, right? Are we having the boundaries with ourselves? Or are we overextending ourselves and overcommitting and just exhausting ourselves by the end of the day? Right? And the other boundary I have to have is with my own mouth. I cannot start a fight with every person that doesn't agree with me. Okay? Okay. And the last thing is are you accepting the people for who they are and loving them for who they are? Or are you trying to love them for who you hope they will become? And that was really hard for me. It's hard for me to be in a room full of people who don't have the same mindset that I do. But I can choose to show up differently, and I can choose to still be in that same room and love every single person in that room and love them for where they are right now, today. So ask yourself those 3 things. This is a short and sweet episode this week, but I just had to come on and share how my last 2 weeks has been, because it's been life-changing, and it won't always probably be this easy. There's probably going to be some really hard times that we're going to have to go through and talk about. But for right now, these 3 things have completely changed my experience at a place where I would actually feel agony at. And now I'm sad to leave. So I love you guys, and I am so thankful that you guys are here. Thank you for having grace with me last week. We have been spending all of our time at my daddy's pool, and we have just been enjoying and soaking up the sun and enjoying family quality time. So thank you for being here. Without you guys, none of this would be possible for me to do. And I hope that each one of you can look at your own lives today and say, where can I apply these 3 things so that I can live a life full of peace, full of love? We're learning, we're growing, and we're doing this together here on the Talking Without Permission show. I'm your friend and your host, Renee Spencer. I will see you in the next episode. I love you guys.